rain on anybody's parade, but this exciting future, well, that's great and all to have this personalization. I think it's really cool. Let me get that out right away. It's just what CCP doesn't say that interests me, should I say. They don't mention any ships at all, ever. And it's interesting because one would think, okay, so this is cool. Will this eventually, is this even possible to be applied to our ships too? Or is the interface and mechanics so different as to preclude it? That's my question. I'm going to guess that's a correct one because of the complete non-talk about, oh, we'll eventually think about doing this for ships, or it wouldn't this be cool if we could do this for ships in the future, right? That'd be, cool kind of teaser, but they don't talk about it at all, which is telling, right? With CCP, you always have to look what they don't say, and it gives a grounding in what you've got. You don't have to get excited about something because they're just giving you ship customization colors for your upwells, which is kind of a switch from back in 2014-15 when they introduced skins. Yeah, almost 10 years ago. And I shit you not, they were thinking about making it for corporations, for ships, almost 10 years ago. It's a decade ago. All right? And that was about 2 years before they introduced, probably even before they conceived of upwells. You never know with them, right? They never have a plan, and we know that because of the quadrants, how they had that plan we had for apples, oranges equals pears, for creating conflict, which is complete garbage if you look back on the dev blogs about the economy and all the, what was it, the redistribution and the scarcity and blah 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 blah. If you look at it now, it's just garbage, and I can't believe I bought it then, because it's just the next patch. So yeah, I think, well, if you think about it, after playing this game for 20, but think about it, since they've been a company, they have acted as though the next patch is the best awesome thing and you should celebrate it. And that's why they don't talk about ships. They don't talk about ships because they want you to rave and rant and, oh, this is wonderful. Aren't you guys awesome for releasing skins for upwells? And you're like, for corporations. Oh, you mean what you mentioned back in 10 years ago. So I guess in 10 years we'll get corporate chips for skins. Personally, thinking about that, let's talk about it. If they do the same thing, and I watched the whole thing, and you probably have too, it's an interesting teaser it's an interesting teaser on skins for corporations for structures. He doesn't know how to speak very well, and I'm guessing the brand skin you make can be applied across all your upwells individually. Like, you design the brand, well, I'm using his language, I'm guessing, do you make a brand, aka a skinner, and then you apply it individually to each structure? Because I'm guessing the way you buy it and the price of it, do you buy this, I'm assuming that you buy the skin once you've designed it for a singular structure, or do all the structures of that type just suddenly turn that color once you've purchased it? The way he speaks is I think they get coached by marketing what to say, their talking points, and he just rabbits it out. They're very, yeah, weird that way. But anyways, whatever. Whatever happens, it's interesting what they're doing. I think it's really cool. But to think of how it applies to, say, ships going forward, maybe 10 years from now, lol, if it ever happens, they might have straitjacked them into a system that only applies to structures and they literally can't apply it to ships. But whatever, who knows in 10 years, right? But what if they did do this exact same thing for corporate ships? That would mean you wouldn't be able to make individual skin colors for each individual ship, unfortunately. It just seems like corporate. Just simply looking at what they haven't done in the last 10 years and what they're doing now, right? So is it going to be corporate or can we do individual? Because I would really like to have the ability to have, you know, I have four minor ships, and they, the barges, and they would be great if they had each individual different primary colors to easily tell them apart, like white, blue, green, and red. And I can get those with barges, but other ships are kind of hard to get because you can have the faction colors that look really cool on the barge itself. But other ships, you can't really do that if you're flying the same sort of ship and using the colors to tell your alts apart, right? Easily, without, looking always in the upper right or upper left for the name of your character, right? Assuming you're playing windowed. So I'm kind of hopeful that eventually this will happen. you know, 10 years from now, gee, I'll be 65 by then. Wee. It's just, wow. So yeah, hopefully these people will die off before I do, and some smart people will come in and just like have a rethink of, oh hey, maybe we should rethink. This is a MOG, right? And this is a social game, so why don't we put more effort into coding helpful social things, like they say, they claim in this video that the corporations is the base foundation for the social aspect of this game, and it's like, well, it would help if you actually paid some attention to the corporate infrastructure with all the loopholes in it. Yeah, and the confusing, mind-bogglingly complex roles that literally aren't documented well in the CCP documentation, lol. So yeah, it would be interesting. It would be cool. It's promising. I mean, this is promising. The fact that we actually have, after when it what let's see, April. So Jesus, so 7 years. They've had Upwells for 7 years, and they finally think this is a good idea after almost 10 years. Like, how exactly long is it? Like, they introduced it in 2014, but was when they got fancier in 2015. So that was 8.5 years ago. Think about it. What were we doing 8.5 years ago? Jesus. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's a MOG, so they'll, they want to milk your expectations for the game. And when we first started playing the game, we thought it was cool. All right, yeah, no problem. You'll release Salvage Drones Tech 2 eventually, or, there was a whole bunch of Tech 2 items that are now in the game that weren't. So we're like, oh, what's going to be next, right? And nice to have ECM Drones Tech 2, but, whatever. It's a MOG. They want to milk. They want to extend the life of their subscriptions to just kind of tease you into retaining you. which is fine. I mean, it's a business model. But yeah, almost a decade later, these guys think we should be excited about them arguing about, well, I wouldn't call it arguing. He's talking about having meetings about this. And yeah, we know they're sweaty meetings. And the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And somebody came up with the brilliant idea of making skins for corporate upwells. It's good God. I I salute that person who yelled the loudest. Yeah. But yeah, let's remember this might be exciting, but it's taken them 8 years just to get to the point where they're allowing skins for upwells. Just think about that. So don't get too excited this is going to happen right away. It's great. I think it's totally cool. It's wonderful. But I'd also think that I would take over anything. A lot of people like skins. I mean, my nephew's all about friggin' cosmetics. It's hilarious. So this is important. I do believe it's more important than other things, in fact. Next on the list, I'd hope they'd add, like, on top of my frickin' list is the social aspects. If you're bragging about social aspects, you need more standings tags than red, orange, gray, light blue, and dark blue. You need what you already have, an option to add plus or minus or equal to each of those colors. It's not a stretch, just something simple, something small, something just enough to give us way more options and way more visible tags in local to understand what the heck that color we're looking at is. Just a little bit more variety. That would be cool. That would be convenient. That would be helpful. That'd be really neat. Yeah, and it would be 10 times more valuable than the current tag system they use for standings. Well, you might not know this, but you can actually add tags to a standing. I forget how. It's been many years since I did it. I probably even have a video on it. Lol. But yeah, anyways, to sum up, I really think this is a great idea. Don't get overly excited about this. Remember, they have not mentioned ships, and they have not really explained it too well. I like that they're using Evermarks for this, and it'll be a great market for Evermarks now that, it's actually going to happen. I haven't even tried emblems, to be honest. The personalization I use currently is simply skins, that's it. So I haven't really delved into this. I haven't even gone to a Paragon station yet. So that is my level of ignorance about this, just as a caveat. But I think it's a really cool thing. I hope that they will just drop this and move on to the next thing and forget about it for almost a decade. And then maybe come back to it almost a decade from now and go, oh, maybe we better do something about this before a decade goes by since we last promised something. So, yeah, they're really good at not promising things. They're really good at it. The last time they were promising things and didn't care about not meaning it was back when we had the Eon magazine. It was really cool. I actually had subscriptions to them. You get a hard copy, Eon. It was so cool. And that ended 2013, unfortunately. But it was so cool. And the stuff they would promise was just ridiculous. Like, they would talk about a gas giant ring mining. They were literally talking, and it was just vaporware, basically. Yeah, they would promise so much and then just not deliver. It was fun to think about it, but after a while you got kind of leery, and I guess they just stopped doing it because it just stopped having it, we just would stop listening to their promises, you know? And they'd actually caveat everything they said with, "Oh, promise," and we just, everybody just got tired of listening to their bullshit after a while, and they just stopped promising us things and just hyped up what they currently did. It's kind of Cyberpunk 2077 kind of stuff. But yeah, yeah, that's amazing stuff in Eve that used to be like the jukebox. They got rid of it because, as I've said many times before, you could tell the game that when you're playing the game will skip, like pause, like freeze for a split second, and you'll notice it, no matter how old you are, how, you know, in the game. It's just you will notice it. If you're new, you'll notice it, and if you had a good eye and spot patterns really well, you would notice that every time the jukebox showed a track switch from track 1 to track 2 or whatever, that would be the cause of the freeze. So they got rid of jukebox. I know. I know I'm cynical on it. Anyways, have yourself a good one.